Yeah, we're ready to go.
Okay.
And then.
Yeah, that's it.
We should have-
I'll actually show you on my phone if we get it.
Well, I
Just
just.
say I won't do it out.
Camera, I just want to do something. I got to feel that I got to do this now.
So more than.
There's a signature here and it wasn't working.
Wasn't working.
But this is.
It's gonna take. Well, that was great.
Oh,
Should
I
I-
forgot to print that.
Yeah.
Because I went to BC and I was thinking tonight, all of a sudden I thought, oh, we're gonna have the incident for HTH, and I go and sit on the table and I go, oh, that's not tonight, that's Thursday. That was 2 days ahead. I was in a printing session, okay. Oh,
Go get down and back in 50 minutes. Pretty much tomorrow. Yeah.
Mhm.
I got out, the storm was. It's driving, so.
Their camera.
This thing that we were supposed to get.
Yeah, because I know that they can point it.
No, it's this one.
Yeah, they can.
Well, it's not even more than. The podium.
Oh, I see.
I can turn my video on and turn it that way, Lindsay, for now, and then when I take mine out, it'll show the.
Yeah.
room.
So that's, I feel it's some feature.
Okay, that's a good
I
idea.
think that's all.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
You wouldn't mind that.
Dan was using the same upgrade.
Yeah, so they used to have one up there. and then-
all that for them.
Perfect, and I can see it here.
Yeah.
Wait till you're ready to go.
This is what we knew about beneath. That was for max.
Mike's over.
We only need a couple.
Picking up a couple people.
I should be right now.
Am I taking anybody's seat here? Probably.
No, yeah, yours.
Mine? Okay, thank you guys for joining us, both communications committee members and other interested parties that are here to listen to Crowd Communications update on the Harlem Township rebranding process. We're gonna do this first for the committee members, and then once their presentation is finished up, we'll actually go ahead and have our meeting for our Tuesday. So without further ado, I'll give over to Crowd.
Hi, everybody. So good to see you again. We're really excited. We met with Lindsay and John a couple weeks ago and shared what we had put together. And today you are going to see two options that we feel that we as a group felt equally excited about sharing with you. And the whole goal of today is to have some dialogue around those. If there's consensus around one or the other, get some feedback from you all. And then we'll share that with the township trustees. And then a decision will be made at that point. If you're all in consensus around one, that's great. If you're not, that's okay too. We can share that feedback in the way that you give it to us. So just be candid and open and honest today. We're going to take you through how we got here. We're going to give you the feedback based on our listening to what we heard in various places. Our observations of the township. John was great, spent a whole afternoon with us. We got to see all the different spaces and places. And then there were a couple things that really caught our attention and caught our eye. So you'll see that reflected here. So the first thing, there it goes. Okay. The first thing that we wanted to share is just sort of an overarching statement about what we've observed and what we've heard from you. And that's that Harlem Township is interwoven with historical heritage and a promise of future prosperity. The traditional and simple nature of Harlem underscores the intentionality of its aim to preserve its past. With development underway and a new wave of generational living, Harlem Township must feel secure in their identity. The following concepts speak to the core values and the people that have stood behind it for ages. So our goal here is balance. It is preserving our heritage, and it's preparing and being mindful of what's coming and making sure that we are intentional about what we're inviting into our community. So this is the roadmap of where we've been, and some of you have been along for this entire journey, and some of you have come in at certain places. In November of 2025, we had our session here. That followed a whole bunch of sessions with the community to have input on the strategic plan, which one of the pieces of that plan was communication. And part of that communication pillar was really creating an identity of Harlem that could be very professionally presented when these entities are coming in from outside and assuming things about our township that they don't know anything about. And I'm sorry, I always use our when I present to people because I feel so invested in the work that I feel like I'm part of it. So your identity. December 2025, we did a community survey. We had some great responses. We had 28 really thorough responses. We used those to inflect, and you'll see some of the words and the concepts that came about from those responses, and injected those into the things we heard from you all and then from the strategic planning process. In January, we took a physical tour of the township with trustee Trainer to understand the landmarks, the topography, the history, the attributes, and the beauty of the township. And then we came back and we did some research and we did some internal brainstorming. We have 12 people on our staff, and so we brought back to them what we heard from you, and we did some internal brainstorming around those concepts. And now we are here, which is February, March 2026, and we are presenting our concepts for your review, and then we are going to present that information to the trustees and deliver a brand package here in hopefully before the end of spring that the township can start using for signage and for materials and proposals and presentations and all of the things that are coming down the pike with all of these changes that seem to be happening. And, you know, I shared this with our leadership team. There's 4 of us on our leadership team at my company, and I shared it with them on Monday because I was excited about coming here. And they said, wow, what a forward-thinking township to be doing this, to understand the importance of the presentation of your identity in a brand as people are coming in and trying to learn about your township and maybe trying to influence your township. It just gives this gravitas and sophistication that so many townships in our state just don't think to do. So good for you all for taking the time to do this. So here's kind of the synthesis of what we heard. Harlem Township is a true and timeless environment. We want a brand that uplifts others and treasures authentic relationships. We want to have a brand that demonstrates quality living bound by a community spirit, and we want to honor the past and shape our future. And that's what we want this brand identity to do. We heard things like hardworking, naturalistic, intentional, timeless. Home was a big one. Authentic, quality, peaceful, belonging, and revitalization. And we saw things and images of fields, equine, cemeteries, oak trees, Duncan Run, wildflowers, big round hay bales, grain mills and silos, and historic school bells. And so what we took from that is that Harlem Township envisions a future-focused mindset while maintaining a powerful connection with its heritage, representing the idea of preservation and loyalty. So as we go through these brand concepts, you'll see that we've incorporated a color palette. There will be some primary colors that will be part of the logo. And then there'll be a palette that then Lindsay and you all can use as you're developing materials. So you're not stuck with 1 or 2 colors. You'll have this palette of things that you can use to supplement those main colors. And we can't use some of these words because they're trademarked, but we're using them with you so you know where they came from. One of which is Carhartt Brown, which is a little browner than what's appearing on this screen. That looks a little more orangey, but it's the Carhartt. It's the Carhartt color, nearly what you've got on there, but Carhartt Brown, which is an ode to the workwear of farmers and workers from ages past and present, and ironically is super duper trendy right now with the teenagers. Like Carhartt is back in style. I tell my husband all the time, I'm like, the coveralls you have, some of the boys in your high school class would kill to have those. Denim blue, the common thread of ruggedness and hard work. Brick red, which is an ode to the Galena backyard or brickyard, which I know some of you had even brought bricks at that meeting that we had. Steel gray, which is an ode to the farmstead and machinery and equipment. Green, which is an ode to the abundance of fields that cover Harlem Township. And an earthy tan, which is ode to the organic and pure land that holds a vast history in this community. So that's the color palette. It feels very earthy. It feels very naturalistic. It feels very somewhat patriotic. It feels to me, from my observation, feels like Harlem. So that's the color palette we'd be working with. We did come up with a tagline for you all, which is, when you're here, you're home. I heard the word home so many times, and everyone who lives here and has been at these meetings talks about how this is their home. And also, the people who are coming here, I heard over and over again, we want people to feel part of this community. We want them to come to things. We want them to know about things. We want them to be part of us. And so it's a welcoming tagline, but it also says home. It's about a neighborhood and a community. And so its inspiration is that this is a place that transcends the environment and exists as a timeless feeling of belonging. Its meaning is the term home carries depth and significance. It reinforces a common thread of warmth. We heard the word warmth a lot, togetherness, welcoming arms, the place that you can plant roots and cherish for years to come. And its promise is that despite the evolving landscape and futuristic endeavors, Harlem Township is steadfast in the core pillars of its heritage: community, devotion, and naturalistic preservation, and a shared sentiment of living simply. So we have two concepts for you. The first is inspired by the equine heritage, as well as some of the future things that are coming to be here in the township, and prosperity. And if you remember, I ended up digging up a horseshoe when I was a little girl, and my dad had built me a tree house out of old fence in our woods behind our house. And I dug up this horseshoe, and I remember he took the horseshoe and he put it over the door of the treehouse. And I said, "Daddy, why are you doing that?" And he said, "It's for luck. This is good luck." And so I always remembered that concept of the horseshoe over the door, and it's really to capture the prosperity and bring it into the home. And so we thought a little bit about that concept and what we saw in this community. We saw a lot of fence, not a lot of white fence, a lot of brown and black fence, right? We're not New Albany. We are Harlem Township. So we saw that. We saw these beautiful fields, beautiful equine facilities, past and present, and some that I think are planned for the future. And so we thought that there's an easily recognizable theme of equine heritage and equine future. It crosses cultures. Horses are deeply tied to personal power, intuition, and moving forward in life with strength and grace. So we were channeling a common symbol of the horseshoe, but we were also looking at other factors in this image that would denote prosperity and future planning and a future that soars. And so what you'll see in this logo is a horseshoe that is up to capture the prosperity of the future and to also be welcoming into Harlem. The sort of wings or fence rows that are sort of coming out from it, just to give it a little character, a little something different. It's not a plain old horseshoe, but that kind of notes that future prosperity. The font is actually a bit of a brand type of iron font, either stamped in or in the West with the brands on the horses. But I prefer it to be the stamped on the metal. And then it kind of overarches, everything comes together under that arch. So that is the first brand, and brand identity, and you can see it in color here. So we've used the brick red, the denim blue, and the sort of the charcoal gray or the steel gray with it. So that is the first concept. I did want to share another piece, and Louis is not here, but Louis has had this idea of this sort of idea of making things in Harlem, making these heirloom type things in Harlem. And so one of the things he had shared with me was this idea of made in Harlem and how could we incorporate that into our brand. So for both concepts, we created a stamp or an icon or something that could be branded into wood or something that could be printed on the bottom of a glass or put in a sticker on the bottom of a rocking chair. And so we did made in Harlem with this little stamp here for that one. We have that one for the second concept too. So that's concept number one. Concept number two, the inspiration comes from paying homage to our past. And we understood that the school bells that are just across the street are really important to the history and heritage. And they really are one of the few things as we were going through the township that stood out as unique landmarks, because there's lots of beautiful streams and there's lots of beautiful areas, and even the old wood mill and those sorts of things are great. But like, as you look at the township, what is something that's uniquely Harlem? And those bells are something that are only here. They're the original bells from the schoolhouse. And we captured our attention. And so we thought about the rich history, and also schools symbolize the future, right? And bringing in the kids to come learn and grow and thrive. And so we felt like there was kind of, again, a dual concept there with the image of the bell. Yes, it's a heritage, hearken to the heritage of the past and the tradition, but it's also a symbol of a prosperous future. And so the second logo that we came up with was this one, which has the bell, again, with the sort of fence row, wings, prosperity, little nod to it. It's abstract, but that's why it's there. The font is a very Americana font. So it's that serif on it makes it very, I feel like it's very patriotic. And again, using the tagline, when you're here, you're home. And this is, again, using the red and the blue as the, and that was part of the feedback that we got from Lindsay and John, and we made some tweaks to it, using that red and blue again, because we are Ohio, red and blue are our colors, and then highlighting the bell there with the gray. And then so the Made in Harlem concept would very easily lend itself to using the bell as well. So we have both of these concepts. We are open to conversation. We're open to feedback. We'd love to hear which one you like better, why you like it better. Is there one that stands out to you, one or the other? Is there one that you really hate? And is there a reason for it? This is your conversation, so I will open the discussion to anyone who would like to start. One thing I did want to make sure you guys know, I'm sorry, is that this has to look good on a sign when you're driving by. So like imagine a welcome to sign. You want to make sure Harlem is the first thing you see. So that's all I'll say, and I'll open it up. Sorry.
My opinion, I kind of like the bell. I think it's part of the actual heritage of the township. It is actually physically in the park.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fine. Take time. And if you want to see any part of the presentation again, just let me know. I can go back.
I'll just ask a question.
Sure.
The horseshoe.
Uh-huh.
The H and M are considerably bigger than
Mhm.
the is I guess can you elaborate a little more on that?
Yeah, so it's a stylistic choice by the graphic designer to bring everything to make it more circular. So if you can see on the Harlem down here, it's aligned, and so those two lines kind of join that word together. Whereas in the Harlem here, in order to accommodate the sort of round shape of the horseshoe in a way that it doesn't get shrunk up to not allow for those little lines to come out of it, she stylistically chose to do the H and the M on the edges to make that more, I guess you'd say, a fulsome image versus it being the word and then a very small horseshoe. And that if you shrunk that horseshoe, imagine if this was even across, that horseshoe would have to get significantly smaller in order to allow space between the icon and the word. So it was a stylistic choice. Yeah, very good question.
She did a great job on both. I like the bell.
And you know what? It's one of those things where you're like, they're nice. I like this one better. And
Really good. I mean, she did a really good job.
I'm gonna say I agree with that, and I like the bell, but why, I'm just curious, why wouldn't the lines around the bell blue and the word Harlem in red, just to make it stand out more? Just like you did on the horseshoe,
Yeah.
not as bold, but red.
I mean, it's just, again, just a stylistic choice.
Yeah, I understand.
One
But
way or the other.
because I would think the bell's pretty, and but I want Harlem to be recognized more, and red sticks out more than the blue.
I believe that the reason that she did it was the contrast between the blue and the gray.
Right, okay.
I didn't ask her that question, but knowing
Okay,
her
I'm just
design,
asking.
that's probably what it was.
Yeah.
And also one thing that's a trend right now in logos, that I'm seeing a lot in branding efforts. We're doing a branding effort for the city of Lancaster right now. And it's to take your logo and provide it in a various color options. So we could provide that logo in red with blue and blue with red so that you could use it on various things in various ways. It still has the graphic identity and the
Right.
colors.
Right.
But then, let's say we have something where we want Harlem to really like rock it and we are not as worried about the bell in the image, then we can do that. We'll also have ones that are one color. We'll have ones that are all white. We'll have ones that are all blue, all red, all gray. So there'll be options to do lots of different things. Lindsay's going to have a lot more leeway with her design ability with this.
Right, but
than
I was
others.
just curious, because I mean, it stands out, but the red really gets, the Harlem does.
Yeah, yeah.
Wording, but I like the bell though. It symbolized more of our community, but also Bell's liberty. And that's what we have. Horses, but they are here, but you don't see them enough
Yeah,
as you do the bell. And the bell's more similar, saying it's home.
great feedback.
Is the tagline going to be on every sign?
I would envision when you're here, you're home being used on things like welcome to Harlem, when you're here, you're home. I do not envision it being used maybe on the side of trucks, for example. I don't know if you have trash services here where you have trash cans that are branded. I don't know that you want that on the side of your trash cans. Maybe. It can be, you'll have the option to use it with or without in any circumstance, depending on how you'd like to.
Yes, I think at 55 miles an hour, it's a lot to read.
Yeah, you won't see. Yeah. you won't see it
Yeah.
there, very well. So yes, I agree with you.
And I would anchor what Karen was saying. I think there are a fair number of horse farms in the township. They're fairly recent. The history of the town, the original agricultural history of the township is sheep,
Oh,
not
gotcha.
horses. And then it morphed into hay and then corn and beans and
Mhm.
that's the way it went. I don't know that that we're really considered a horsey township. I mean, for people who, who live here, a lot of people come here because they can raise horses, they can
Mhm.
have horses.
Mhm.
I don't know how much of the population really.
Connects to that.
Connects.
So, yeah.
That's very fair.
We're not. Yeah. Or recognized. We just happen to have. And with the school bell, I mean, I think we have the actual bell in the park. There's a school memorial. And has anyone around the table went to school? Keith, you went to school here? No?
I've been
No.
to school just here, yeah.
Being the oldest one in the room, I recall conversations with Vicky and Lynn Skinner and others who 20 or 30 years after the fact still had a lot of resentment when the school was taken out of Harlem Township.
Gotcha.
Right? And I don't know how much of that is whether they're gonna associate the school bell with, yes, Harlem used to have its own school system. And then it got absorbed into Big Walnut. We don't have one anymore.
Interesting.
One of the things I think that I also like about the bell concept is the liberty aspect of it and the freedom aspect of it. And that's something that, here is very important, is that autonomy. I heard that so many times, people saying we want to be in control of our community. We want to, and that's life, liberty, and freedom. It's like at the heart of it. So I agree with you. I like the bell too. I think it's a good one.
It also reminds me of a little bit more of like the state of Ohio, and I think that there's a lot of there's so much history here in
Mhm.
Harlem Township with the state of Ohio, and I think people really connect to that.
What's also, you'll be launching this in the 250th anniversary of America, which is
Right,
kind
that's
of
what
cool
I think.
too.
Be better, yeah.
Kind of cool.
I'm missing in both of them an organic element. When I look at the bell though, with a little tweak in color, like add a little bit of tan or yellow to the arches, I could see a hay bale.
So we originally had, oh,
I
sorry.
just don't see any organic element or earthiness here. I don't see it in the horseshoe for sure. But. And it could be different colors for different settings of what
Sure.
you're saying.
Yeah.
But, you know, that could be a fence line, it could be a mounted hay bale,
Mhm.
it could be. I think we're missing that element of, the country feel. I mean, the bell is antique, so I mean, that brings heritage
Mhm.
element to it.
Mhm.
But
I think we originally had the bell in green and gold. It was a green and gold logo versus the red and blue. That was a draft version of that logo. So that, you know, the bell was gold, the circles were green, and the Harlem, can't remember, was the tan, I believe.
Do you know what the school colors were?
They were green and gold.
Really? The school colors are green and gold? My feedback of the green and gold one, was that it reminded me of Sunbury's. Cause they use a lot of green and gold in their branding. It didn't feel like distinct enough. But that's cool to know that that's literally what the school colors were.
And maybe they're not the same.
Yeah.
The green could be very different from a Sunbury green. And I don't know if we have anything.
And if you would use the tan in the wording, it wouldn't be bold enough to see in anything.
Yeah, I think the Harlem was in, if I remember right, was in green.
Okay.
I remember right. And I don't have it in my head right now. I could probably find it in an old draft, but if that is feedback, I mean, we can always bring that back to the designer and revisit that.
Following up on what Steve was saying, what if you took the 3 bars off the horseshoe and moved it behind the bell? Instead of the rainbow, you'd have a horse fence behind the bell.
I think so.
It wouldn't give you that.
It will not give you the 3D effect that it has. It also will be, I believe it would be confusing to a viewer. I think it would be very difficult to detect what the image was without that differentiation of the coloring and the linear aspect of see how the bell has lines through it. I think that would cause an optical illusion that we wouldn't want. We could, I mean, certainly give it a try, but that's my gut, is that we would run into an issue, and we would lose the ability to connect everything in a more holistic image, because you would lose that ability to have those curved lines that bring you back down to the word Harlem and draw your eye down.
So you're saying it almost look like 2 images floating on top of each other?
Yes, yeah, rather than that having that curved line that comes down.
I think I like that the bell looks, it's just this optical illusion, it's 3-dimensional.
Yeah, I
which,
like that too.
You know, it is,
Mm-hmm.
and I think because of the way that it's positioned against the arch there behind it in red, it brings that out. The horseshoe looks, I think, flat because of the way the fence, that's where you have there against it. I don't know if there's a way to maybe make those look like they're both 3-dimensional with the background holding the horseshoe more than just a cookie cutout.
Yeah.
I think the bell is a more exciting look. I mean,
Me too.
and I think it lends itself to the future as far as its kind of contemporary design, even though, you know, the font is not necessarily contemporary, but it's a nice bold representation, like a bold statement looking to the future.
We are Harlem.
little bit of that.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
yeah, you know, if you just let your eyes flip back and forth and plus the big blue
Mm.
Harlem
Mhm.
really grabs you.
And it's
Yeah,
not
the
all-
takeaway line becomes problematic on signs because to be able to get it, let's just think of welcome to Harlem Township, when it's sitting out there, the sign can only be so big.
Right.
If you've got to have that at the bottom, then everything else gets smaller. And to me, for signage coming into the village, the key point is Harlem.
Absolutely.
And township's also kind of important.
Hmm.
So to the degree you can keep that physically larger in the overall footprint of the sign,
Agreed.
I don't think you're missing anything dropping the tagline and
And you could use the tagline instead of welcome to. You could just use Harlem Township when you hear your home. It's a welcoming statement in it of itself. And when you come and you see a sign and you're going into a community, you know that's what it means, that you're going into that community. So that could be an option too, depending on what your township folks decide to do with signage.
taglines tend to become unintentionally memes over time. I'm always very sensitive to trying to be clever. I would say there's nothing clever in it with the bell. The tagline's a little tacky to me.
Okay.
I don't think it's needed.
The other thing with the bell, you could, normally logos are just visual. You could actually incorporate the bell into some kind of audio introduction.
Oh, yes.
And
Yeah.
Could in fact build a logo in, with a real bell like that, Harlem Township, Ohio, and you can ring the bell when it's
Yeah.
meeting to start.
nice.
It's time for an event to start. It becomes kind of a tradition of
Yeah.
we're ringing the school bell. And whatever it's
Yeah.
called.
I don't know what Souter does for school color. I don't know if Souter is interested at all in anything like a bell. It's possible that, this is the one school,
Mm.
Harlem Township, and we're likely to get something. A second school is more likely to be like Souter than other kinds of schools. It's not going to be a New Albany High School or Big Walnut High
Sure.
School kind of location here for us.
Hmm.
Maybe not. I'm not trying to be forecast, but if something like Souter and education people, can use this
Mhm.
as part of establishing, we do have education in Harlem Township. It's been here always, kind of a thing. I think that'd be pretty cool. And like Tom is just saying, this is something that then the school and schools could use.
I feel like there's so much symbolism in bells. They symbolize victory, they symbolize freedom, they symbolize hearkening the future, they symbolize a call to something, either church or school or dinner. My mother-in-law still has a dinner bell at the farm. And so it's a call to community in some way. And so I would be comfortable, very comfortable with that.
This one, I think it has a more kinetic feel to the image. Do you think it's important to have a takeaway phrase,
A tagline?
a tagline? Is that critical?
I don't think it's critical. It was part of the deliverable that we were doing for the township, and so I felt like it was an important piece to include. But it's also one of those things that can be used and not used depending on the venue and depending on, like you said, if we're putting up signs and we're wanting it to be as big as possible, you drop the tagline. You don't always use the tagline with everything. It might be on your website. It might be on a folder that you would create to give to folks that you're giving RFPs to or things like that. Might be on your letterhead. It doesn't have to be on, like I said, every truck or every garbage can or every.
I think it's a good tagline in its wording. I mean, I like the wording. I just don't, I think sometimes that stuff detracts.
Sure.
And again, I've seen them get twisted around the fence posts
Mhm.
sometimes.
Yeah,
But again, every time you use it, the rest of the image gets smaller wherever it shows up.
yes. So using it
It's just
strategically.
natural, yeah, I mean, that's what happens. If it's in a letterhead, you know, at the time you look at your Harlem Township letterhead, that's in one corner and then your address is in the other one and then the bell gets smaller.
Sure,
If you're
sure.
gonna have that up there.
I could vision a use case for it maybe being like when the website gets redone. It would just be the logo in the top corner, but there could be like a nice pull quote on the homepage of the website or something, and that would be the one. like a
Or
one
it could be
clear,
the,
clean place
or
to
it could
use
be,
it.
I've seen it where they do that, where the phrase is at the bottom of the
Yeah,
page.
or at the.
Correct.
So it's disassociated
Yeah.
from the graphic,
Yes,
Yeah.
right?
yes.
And that's kind of an opening and a closing to a
Yeah.
page.
Yeah, yeah.
And it gets laid out in that manner.
So our sort of tagline at my company is leave it better.
So
That's our
yeah.
tagline. We don't use that with our logo very often.
Yeah.
We use it now, it's big and bold on our Facebook page, leave it better with our little logo and our little circle. But you can see, I mean, we have it on our shirts. We don't have our leave it better on our shirts. But we do have a little icon that says leave it better that we use, especially when we're giving out donations, because that really underscores
Yeah.
that purpose that we have. So it's one of those things that you can, once you have the brand, and this is Lindsay's probably like salivating, like once I get all this stuff, I get to play with it and have fun. But that's why you create all of these different options now, and that's why that trend has happened in design, because people don't want to just have one thing that they stamp on every single thing all the time.
I think the tagline is,
Consistent. though.
yeah,
Yes, yeah.
super important though, because I think people have been looking for that community, and this is what that says, you know, this is a part of our community and we are home, and you know, everything that we've all been through. I think it's really important to keep something like that, and wherever we put it, but I mean,
It's kind of a rally cry in a way, like,
well,
hey,
people
everybody.
came up with this and that's what you heard from them. I think it's really important to keep that.
Well, for me, that brings back to my first comment about not having anything organic in the graphic, but that brings an organic element in.
Okay, you think it's like a
So
good
it's a
substitute?
good pull.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I do agree with you to be strategic about when you use it visually. 100% agree with that.
Nice work.
I hear a lot of support for,
About,
and the more I focus on that, I think the background is too busy. It's too heavy. It fills too much of the space. So you could still have the curve, you could still use it to hold the logo together, but I think it overpowers the bell.
you will lose the 3D element of the bell if you remove that. That will be a sacrifice for that visual to go away. And if we did that, I would also be concerned about the weight of the font. If the weight of the top was only in the very center with the bell, that would concern, I mean, I think we would have to go back a little bit to the drawing board on it if we did that.
But more the weight of township rather than the weight of Harlem.
Are you saying you think that the Harlem weight would be too
The
thick?
weight of the font, the type of font that we have there.
That the rainbow could be more like the word township.
Oh, lighter in its,
Yeah.
The line weight of
the
it.
line weight.
The line weight in a lighter blue there.
Thank you.
And then you wouldn't lose the 3D of.
Right. Maybe, I would wanna see it.
I would like to, even not just the blue, if you were talking about the organic, make the lines like in the yellow, cause that make the bells stand out more. Or the
Yeah,
gold.
Then you're yellow and blue and maize and.
No,
Or you-
no.
I know. Oh,
That's true, that's true.
The thing here.
Oh, sorry, my.
I know.
side.
Oh, no. Oh, there should be a plug right there.
I'll have to go back into the Zoom.
I didn't think about
Okay.
that, but I was just thinking of bringing the bell out.
No,
I mean, I don't know how much more conversation, John, I guess I would look to you. How much more conversation do you want to have around it and like what?
I think
Not sure of that.
No,
I want this group to be comfortable that they have weighed in
Okay,
considerably. So you decide when this conversation.
Yeah.
I think.
I think we already agree it's the bell. That's one thing. Just matter, make sure that, are we comfortable with the actual colors, the actual font and things? I think that's. I think we've done it enough on it, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of support for the bill.
Yeah.
But while you're getting that all back together, I'm intrigued by the possibility for that horseshoe. You know, I don't have the artistical capacity or abilities to try to convey how this might work, but just from my sense of history and understanding of history here, horses brought people here, not necessarily of their own free will, but the people pushed them along, and the horses were of an integral part. The first thing they did was build something where the horse could be. They lived under some sort of lean-to or shanty. They had lots of words for it, but basically something that was cramped, crowded, and not necessarily warm or cooled or anything else. But it was just early life here, and build the barn first kind of process was part of settling this area in the early 19th century. Horses, there was a breed of horse that's more associated with the western half of Delaware County, but we read about horses on farms here in Harlan Township that were known for stature, and I mean, they weren't Clydesdales, but more along that than an Appaloosa, for sure. So it's, we have this. We also have pigs, and we have different kinds of other things happening with animals here as well. And I'm also beginning to see that, all of the different kinds of husbandry and agriculture, in my mind, it's going to be really hard for people to go against 3,000 acre farms that are, not too far from here and then across the plains and all of that. You're competing with people that have enormous tracts of land. Well, but horses, we don't want them on 3,000 acres. We want them on smaller parcels. And horses fit with a lot of family things.
So you're wondering if, like, even though people don't think they're necessarily part of our identity right now, you're wondering if, like, we should consider that it's an aspirational identity?
Yeah, I think they are part of our identity, but horses, they were just always there, taken for granted in a way. But the idea that they're aspirational now, I think this is what I'm hearing from people at Otterbein. They're working with their equine division there. They're, people want to be associated with horses in this area. It's fun. It meets a lot of things. It's also a huge amount of work. I don't think they all always grasp that, but still, I think, aspirational horses is becoming more of that. Not just it has to be there element, but something that people are choosing because the horses,
The lifestyle and the status and stuff like that.
And I think that is a risk, there's a huge socioeconomic divide between the haves and have-nots.
Sure.
yes,
And most people here who are adding horses to their property are not plowing with them,
Sure.
right? Or this is the high-end howdy-towdy Jumper Hunter Group, which, by the way, my daughter's one from Otterbein, and we have horses on our property, so I love them. I don't want to take care of them, but I love them. But I also think there might be some resentment about bringing that forward now in such a highly visible manner. That it's kind of like, oh, well, that's great, but you know, that's not where I came from. And I mean, so I'm not shooting it down. I'm always sensitive to something that you're unintentionally creating a possible divide with in demographically.
Yeah.
And I would worry about that a little bit.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So no one has said, this isn't gonna work, go back to the drawing board. So everyone's saying, hey, we like the work that's gone into this. We see how you've come to these two designs, and we're content to choose between these two designs.
Correct.
You did a great job.
Yeah. Back to my saying that I think most of us have agreed is the bell. I'm sorry, Dave, but that's, if you look at it.
As I sit here and look at that, and then I look at the sign.
Quite different.
Can't wait to get that.
Much less the graphic in the corner.
Well, I also think about like just again leaving the tagline off, but just that Harlem Township and thinking of it on like an embroidered polo or like a ball cap or a t-shirt, you know, that's handed out the chicken noodle dinner. Like I just like feel like it's a distinct, either one actually, a distinct recognizable name and image, and Harlem is what you see when you look at it. And so that's why I was 100% comfortable presenting both of these, because I think either one will do well for you.
Thank you so much.
The horseshoe,
Mhm.
the fence line there.
Mhm.
What would happen if there were not all fence posts kinds of things, but sort of like a couple of them, but also then like in the HT and Ohio community, a sheet of corn. You know, bundled in a way that harks back to, you know, early farming.
So you mean incorporated into that is what you're saying, incorporated into the image there?
So the lines put the
But
corn
not,
there or
you
something.
know, But by removing a couple of or 3 or 4 of the fence posts and having potentially a little bit of fence post and a little bit of a sheath of corn kind of thing, so that it'd be, you know, and then I don't know.
It's-
I'm not- like I said,
See
this
what
is
you're
some
saying.
nice wheelhouse.
I see what you're saying, because you're imagining like an organic element.
Yeah.
I will say that when you start to add in imagery that has detail like that, like the corn that you're imagining will already be small. So you're gonna kind of completely lose it when it's not blown up big on a screen like that.
And it looks
my
busy, and it'll look
experience.
busy.
So you gotta be careful with fine imagery where you gotta like make out what the image is. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Because that's nice and big on the screen, but when we shrink that down, we might lose
You would.
more complicated imagery than just straight lines and horseshoes and things like that.
When you get that horseshoe small enough, those little diamonds are going to basically disappear.
Yes.
That element will disappear when you get it small enough. Now, in most things, printing things, embroidery even, but like you put that on a pen, there won't be those little diamonds already. That'll already disappear, so.
Yeah, so think about how that would probably be indiscernible, that small, unfortunately, yeah. Please excuse my sniffing.
So I mean, is there any additional feedback, any additional thoughts, any dissenting opinions, any concern? I
What
think
color is the Harlem Township on the bell? I mean, I can't,
Harlem is blue, Township, Ohio is the same color as the bell.
it's
Gray.
gray.
It's great. So that's the steel image.
I couldn't tell. Here, what actual color was.
Green, it looks better.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
projector is slightly off.
It fades things out when you put it up there, so yeah, you can see it on the left.
I just couldn't tell what color I was looking at.
Actually, it would be helpful, probably for your next meeting or when you go to the board, would be to have that printed in true color.
Yes,
Because these TVs aren't tuned right.
no,
Plus your opening graphic where you showed your palette, they were funky looking.
yeah, they look weird on the screen.
Yeah.
One of the things I like to do is bring actual,
Yes.
they're called Pantone chips. They're the
Yeah.
actual little color chips that printers use to match. And bring those and lay those out so people can see them.
Well, that would help.
But I will say, remember the crayon exercise we did?
Yeah.
I took those pictures of the yes and the maybes and put them beside the color palette, and I was like, oh, you can see the colors. Really cool.
That's good.
Well, do you want a hard, like a vote here from this group, one way or the other, so at least you can say which way did the group vote?
Great question.
What do you think, John?
Yeah, what is-
Would that
what
be
is our
helpful to
next
the
Because
step?
you relying on us to give you a hard,
To get an official recommendation.
Sure.
yeah,
Why not?
Okay.
like I said, most of us have said the bell will be it, and
Okay, well, I would make a motion that
Yeah.
we accept the Harlem design with the bell.
I'll second.
Thank you. And then what's next?
Further discussion,
Yeah.
any questions or dialogue?
no,
Okay,
Just-
all in favor?
say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
One opposed.
One.
Fair enough.
He's always doing that.
Fair
HGH.
enough.
So you had unanimous less the rabble rousers. Let it show.
One rebel. We
What
have
is it?
one rebel.
Like how to-
All right. Thank you so much
Thank you guys.
for the
So,
opportunity.
yeah.
everybody to
So our next
meet
step
us
is
and
we
discuss it.
communicating with the trustees on sort of the next step in the process, and then we'll go from there.
Do you wanna do that at the next trustee meeting in, next week?
Is it next week?
Next week.
Yeah.
If
Is
I
that-
can be
is
here,
that possible?
if I can be here, yes.
Okay.
We just
That'd be
we'll
great.
talk about time and
Okay.
everything. Yeah,
Let's do,
when I can look at my calendar.
great.
I don't ever know, especially now that track season is starting.
Yeah.
Angela, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Take the bell sign, how would you turn that into? The sign on a fence or building or a cemetery or a park?
Yes, so you would use that imagery. You could also, if you wanted it to be without a picture, you could just use the font. The Harlem Township, Ohio part, if you needed it to be something that's just a small sign. But I would recommend as often as you can to use the full image, and it could be all white, it could be, it will lose that 3D a little bit. It could be all white or all red or all blue or all black.
Slide the actual street address above Harlem Township, Ohio.
Yes,
Oh, I see what you're
Yes.
saying.
yes.
So you have the bell, street address, Harlem Township, Ohio, and that would be the sign on.
Or it could be right underneath it. It could be Harlem Township, Ohio, and then the address right underneath it instead, so that it maintains the integrity of the logo. If you were going to do that, I would just suggest leaving the bell off altogether and just put the address and then the Harlem Township font underneath it.
But still have the word Harlem.
Yes,
In the.
yes,
Above what?
yes. Because you don't want to break up the image from the Harlem. I wouldn't put something in between that because that messes with the integrity of your logo and the imagery, and people start doing all kinds of funky stuff.
So, maybe, because in my mind, signage is gonna be important.
Mhm.
Maybe just prepare some artwork of what a sign would.
Sure,
what a sign would-
sure, we can mock something up, Photoshop
As
it.
part of your assignment, the final deliverable, a simple style guide.
Yes,
Okay.
yep, brand guidelines, color numbers for web, print and digital use, and then some key materials, things like PowerPoint template, business card design, letterhead design, that kind of turnkey package.
What keeps it consistent.
That's great.
doesn't let it go sideways.
And I think even some, I think we wrote in there some social media graphic templates.
Fantastic.
I think there's gonna be a proliferation of bells.
Suddenly people will want
We
my
start
stuff.
ringing it.
My house I grew up in, house of bells.
I don't know, that could be considered a sign out front. We don't allow signs, so.
That's funny.
This is Bob Singer. Can I ask a quick question?
Oh,
There's a question
We've
online.
got somebody on Zoom.
Yeah, Bob Singer.
Bob's out there.
Yeah, will this be trademarked or copyrighted for the
Um,
township?
I would recommend that. That's not part of like the cost because I'm not a lawyer, so we would need to get a trademark lawyer
It should
involved,
be.
but I would recommend it.
Good question, Bob, and
Yeah.
it should be.
Thank you.
Good question. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Just trying to turn that up so we can hear Bob a little bit better. Okay. That concludes Kryle's part of the meeting.
Thank you.
And then the communications committee has an agenda of our own as well, so we'd like to go ahead and move to that. You're welcome to stay if you want to observe, but otherwise we have our agenda that we're gonna dive into. You wanna go up to the podium, the camera can see us.
I do wanna share with you one comment or one action from today's meeting. I know Jason talked to you about the mailer for the park survey.
He did email me and he said that it's going to be taken care of with the check that Lisa Hersey will cut for the parks 318 meeting.
So, but what's going to happen is the funds will come out of your budget, the group budget. For mailing, but
So-
then we'll replace that, before we need to use it.
I think that's great that you bring that up because we need to talk about as a group, putting together our bylaws. And one of the points that I had to bring was that we don't have a budget. The township has a printing and mailing budget, but
Yeah.
as a committee. we don't have a budget.
This committee should get a budget, we should have a budget.
Yeah, we don't
So
have.
for next year, group should get a budget.
Yeah.
And what I'd love to do, Lindsay, is have bylaws. Here's the question. You can discuss tonight. Does this group need a distinct group of bylaws? Or can we create a bylaws that would work for both this group and the Parks Committee? A generic set of bylaws for committees.
Yeah.
I think I would prefer that.
Absolutely.
And make it as simple as possible.
Because then then that simple budget and, I mean,
Yeah.
the mechanisms, and it also makes it more efficient for our finance person
Yeah.
to deal with things, yeah.
I think that one thing that we'll have to work through that is a slight wrench in that plan is that the work that is being done by this committee is work that like an employee could be doing, and I think that we need to decide like what is our scope of work. And I don't know if that translates as easily to other committees.
That would be part of the charter. I think that's gotta be apart from the bylaw.
You know,
Every-
you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Totally, because we don't want,
This is all-
we don't want to
Yeah.
happen is that people start to come to us for things that we really shouldn't be part of our
Mission
scope of work.
creep.
As a
Mission-
scope creep, yes, as a group of volunteers, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you do a good job, but.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you. But
So
duly
bylaws
noted, thank you, that's what we need to have.
a very simple, have the function,
Uh-huh,
but then I think, a charter from the trustees to this group.
but
That kind of defines the scope of work.
yeah,
But yeah, it's someday, the parks thing will be, it'll be under the auspices of an employee.
right,
This would be under the
Right.
auspices of an employee, and
Right.
it's just, the gap.
exactly.
When we talk about work, you're really talking about horse.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. In the budget question.
Alright, so I'm not gonna beat your shoulder.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good.
Bye.
What's up, your agenda?
We are gonna discuss bylaws for our committee. And then I'm probably gonna ask the committee if we can vote to not talk about the next newsletter, or because we have an extensive agenda for tonight, in addition to our social media posts and our monthly email. And those are the main chunks on it. Sure.
That's
Well, we had originally talked about April, because that would be like on every 3-month cadence. However, I wanted to see with the group's opinion if we should shift that to May, and then if we're gonna shift that to May, are we okay with it being more like a May and then like in August and then like in November? Or do we want to keep it like in, we have to figure out where we want to shift it in the year, because at the end of the day, we typically have been avoiding December because it's busy. And I don't think we have people's captivated attention in the first place. So we just got to kind of figure out, do we want to try to get one done in April, or do we want to make it a May publication for spring?
Okay.
Yeah.
The Parks Committee was talking about publishing the survey results or the abstract.
Okay, that's good to know.
And that would.
Yeah. Great. That's good to know. Okay, so survey results that we have to pay attention to for the next newsletter. So when we talk about that.
That would be like.
Right. Okay.
Will it be results as well as proposed behaviors that go with it?
It would basically be just a summary of. Tell people who responded or didn't respond, this is what we hear from the survey. And we've gotten 165 responses in those couple of weeks. So
Great.
we should get a good.
That's a lot.
good response.
That's amazing.
It's okay. We had 320, I think, 330 the first time,
Oh, okay.
but we haven't finished this cycle.
Yeah, exactly. Fantastic. Okay, thank you, because that's very important for us to know if we make the decision that there's items that need to go in it, All right.
I'm not seeing her Thursday.
Thank you guys so much, and thank you for being a part of that feedback process as well. Yes, sir.
I'm gonna send you some stuff on America 250.
Great.
It's a app that shows where Revolutionary War veterans' graves are in Harlem Township with detailed information about them all.
Yep, perfect.
So, you'll be getting that from me, and then I will also be following up in the next couple of weeks on things America 250, the Ohio Delaware County Committee wants information specific for lots of different things. So right now I'm using my email address, but they would really like it to be an institution. So we'll get back to you on that and just letting you know on a couple of things here so that.
Okay. Thank you for the heads up. I wrote it down under our anything else tab that there'll be stuff to promote for America 250. It's all right. Okay. Well, without further ado, shall we dive into kind of the important pertinent thing in front of us, which is the concept of bylaws for the committee. There was something thrown around, which I'm so glad you did at the end of this meeting, the Rogers Rule of Order. Is that what it's called? Robert's Rule of Order. Which would, I think, be required of us to do if we had like bylaws and everything like that. We would vote on some
well,
things.
it's just
You have
good
to follow the full thing.
practice.
Yeah. Just good
Like
practice.
a version of it.
So I had written down some things that it's my understanding that when John said we're doing this for the Parks Committee, here's some of the things that we're including that I thought we should include as well, or at least talk about, which are very basic things like we have a regular meeting date and time and we record them on Zoom. We already do all of that. And then we have to put how many members make an official committee. And then we would talk about chair and vice chair. And then I think the big thing is what is this committee's scope of work? And then what is like the process, which I think could go into John's request if this is just generic for all committees. What is the process for people coming to ask us for things that we then need to spend money on or just spend time on? What is that process? So I guess we are already meeting on the second Tuesday of the month at 6:30. We're recording them on Zoom. I selfishly, I guess, have never asked if that's a problem. Do we feel like that's a good time? I know your schedule has changed now. You're able to come. Nobody seems to have a huge problem. So we'll keep it the same.
What, can I ask, what is the makeup of the committee currently? For example, is, oh geez, I just senior moment.
Oh, good.
What's her name? Molly. Is she still officially on the committee?
I'm glad-
Or did she I know she's busy with the school board.
Yeah, that's a great question. So Molly completely stepped away. And then in it, besides those of us sitting here, which is awesome, we have all of us here. There's also Karen Armbruster who's on the emails. And she told me that with her job being a realtor, she works in the evenings. But she's very responsive via email and always says, like, please send me stuff and I'll just do them. And then she does.
Yeah.
So I feel very much like she's a part of this committee, even though she can never be here in person. So that's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with
Okay.
her.
Yep.
Is for those of us that are more knowledgeable than me, I'd love to learn. Is 6 a good size? You don't want it to be humongous.
I guess what we need to establish is what is a quorum. It has to have 3 to have official meeting.
Okay.
Or we had, all of us can't be here,
What would
sometimes.
be
Yeah,
actually
but I
voting?
miss sometimes.
I don't know if do we have voting items? Like, I mean, yeah, I don't know.
No, we really don't.
It's a committee, yeah, I mean, in a sense, doesn't need to, we're not a governing body per se.
What does that matter if next year the trustees actually gave us an agenda, a budget? So for everybody's knowledge, if you weren't aware,
Yeah.
when we are printing our newsletters and buying the postage for them, the township has its own printing and mailing budget. They're just individual line items, but it's just like under administrative. And it's not exclusively ours. Like whenever Ashley mails things and prints things, that also goes under there. So that's no problem. It's been no problem. However, it does create like a little bit of a situation where, say, somebody like the Parks Committee has a special thing they want to mail out. If we said, sure, based off of that, but we don't know what the administratively they're going to need for the year, there's a risk of it going over budget, that kind of thing. So I do appreciate John saying that perhaps this committee should just have its own budget next year when that time comes. And maybe that is what we would vote on. Like if people asked us to spend things, or you don't
I think voting is more like if we're creating policy or some sort of program.
Right, or,
So-
and voting for who is, chairman or secretary or treasurer, and we don't have that here. Cause I'm saying where I am at, the other nonprofit I'm on,
Mhm.
we have that because of those things. But again, at the same time, you're talking about this postage. I have people tell me, each committee has their own, but I only put it in because I'm the treasurer there. So I have to use what what they tell me, but it's in
Mhm.
postage, but I have a budget for that.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's gone over because they're not really being considerate because they don't look at.
So once you figure out the scope, and then we can figure out an appropriate budget, so maybe the parks thing, if it's something, just for example, like
Yeah.
if it's not gonna be in the newsletter and it's something separate, maybe that's a township would do that.
Expense versus our
Yeah.
expense.
Yeah, and there's a mechanism. I mean, to have a baseline running budget, it would be fine based on, kind of what it's been the last couple of years.
Just go.
And so that gets allocated to us to spend. But if somebody wants to go run a survey, if it's going to be over, some sort of discretionary amount, well, then the mechanism would be for you or whoever to take it to the trustees at a trustee meeting and just ask for an extraordinary allocation of funds to our budget to cover this kind of unique
If
and
it's-
unusual
If it's in our
expense.
scope, because like if Parks would pay for it out of their money to
Mhm.
do a survey, so it's like.
Right.
Basically, it's the same thing. If say the trustee has a budget for postage, well, they want to probably keep that separate as a trustee than the communications and parks.
Sure.
Because I have to do that. That's what I'm saying. I do that for what these committees, because I got to classify what I'm spending the postage for.
Yeah, okay. So
So-
then, I'm hearing what you're all saying. So that's exactly what John was just telling me. He said Jason is going to be emailing you because it sounds like the Parks Committee wants to get this out, but they don't meet until later and it's time sensitive. So they were going to take it from quote unquote our budget, which isn't our budget. It's just the township's printing budget. And then the Parks Committee was going to pay that back with their
Yeah,
budget. But
I
we don't
guess
have
I'm a
that.
little, I think we should keep it simple here. And I mean, what kind of things do we spend money on?
Yeah,
Like
That's
the
a great-
Besides the the mailings for our sort of pre-programmed events through the year.
That's it, isn't it?
Yes, the mailings for our quarterly newsletters,
Yeah.
which involves two expenses. There's the expense to print them and then the expense to mail them.
Postage.
And you have, the process is that Lisa Hersey currently cuts a check for the postage based off of a singular invoice that says only postage. Then the printer needs that because when they drop off the prints, they drop off that check at the same time and that's paid for. And then another invoice comes later for the printing. Yeah.
So are you in the middle of that as far as the handoffs
Correct. Yeah.
for that?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that you have, I mean, if they want to allocate funds for those purposes and have Lisa hold it as a line item,
That's what I'm saying, is we
why
have to Lisa,
why
like
even
you.
put a budget in this committee as such?
Unless we
Correct,
wanna
that's
do
what I'm
other
saying,
things.
is,
We don't
Yeah.
have discretionary spending needs, right?
Correct.
Unless you change your scope, that's what I think we're
Correct.
saying. If we add
Yes,
things, or
yes.
like if we're gonna do a big marketing campaign for the new, logos or
Mhm.
something like that, or it just depends what tasks.
but
Yeah.
again, is that really part of our scope to do
Yeah.
as communication? Is it
Mhm.
still part of the
Let's-
trustees to,
Let's
to
talk
make?
about scope, because I feel like figuring that out will
That's a good point. Yeah.
waterfall down here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we know currently that our scope of work is a quarterly newsletter. The printing, all the content in the printing and the postage is what we at least like handle, but we don't have like a budget necessarily. Okay. And then I would say firmly in our grasp is a monthly email, which
Mhm.
for the record, that also does cost money, but it's like again, the township has like a budget for like software. And it's like $60 a month, it's not that expensive.
Are there,
Is there a cost to the constant contact?
Yeah, that's a,
Right.
the
Is that the
township has a
second?
budget for software.
But that's
It
what
just
that
goes
is.
in
Okay,
there.
I just want to make sure.
And that one will increase or decrease, I explained to Lisa, as people join the list, because once the list hits certain thresholds, it might
Yeah,
bump
they
up
charge more.
$10, it might bump, yeah.
Yeah. Because
Is
that's what
there
happened to
any,
Harlem Township.
social media, Facebook costs? I mean, do you do pushes at times to try to expand the amount of pushing out?
So the trustees did approve up to $50 a month for boosting and pushing out posts. In terms of things like social media ? Website ? It feels like as a creative group trying to promote the community, social media is more firmly in our grasp because it's something that we can have creative liberties on. And obviously Ashley has to post public notices. That's just baseline.
Yes.
But I'm bringing that up, versus something like the website, which maybe is more like us in an advisory capacity, or us like writing things down and making sure, for example, we had a discussion last month about we should add the Delaware County Foundation to the website. But if we want to maybe have like cleaner lines there, perhaps we could be responsible for writing that up and making sure that
The content.
the content is
Sure.
good, but then
it to
everything
Ashley,
goes
yeah.
to Ashley to like manage the website.
Yes. She's the administrator.
Yeah. What do you
So
guys think
can
about
say
that?
Website content and as needed, probably.
Yeah. So website content as needed. But in terms of, and like that Jake, that was the intern, he could work on that if he wants to be an intern again. But I don't necessarily think that this group needs to be like logging into the website in the back end.
Here.
Exactly.
So I thought you had a really good point there. So that's more of a volunteer thing compared to us managing a website.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's where like to your point, the money part of it, it's like, I think
Is-
volunteer committee.
Mhm.
It's not like zoning or
Right.
anything.
Is there, other than by happenstance, a duty for social media to monitor for, let's just call it poor content and
Sure.
comment?
Like
So who
comments.
who's responsible for that?
That's a great question. Who's responsible for that? Who's responsible for social media postings and monitoring and stuff like that?
'Cause that's a headache.
You get some bad comments on that sometimes.
Monitoring the inbox and comments and things like that.
Right, so I don't know who does that now, other than, I think what happens is if somebody happens to see it, if you do or anyone else and reports it,
Sure.
then you can make the decision to pull it down or edit. But is it an assigned duty that, weekly, somebody is gonna at least make sure they're looking at it
Right.
for that?
Is it a duty of this just committee as a group to just like check it out? Like you're on your phone and you're like, hey, somebody's going crazy on the Facebook page and the
What
comments.
would we do about it?
What would we do about it? So this might dovetail into kind of the next discussion, which is the trustees, when this committee was formed, the trustees expressed that just for like streamlining purposes, we just need to make sure that 1 to 2 people own things like the social
Mhm.
media password and stuff like that. So I currently own that. And Steve, that's what I was mentioning to you, a vice chair, if it's something that you are interested in, is originally what they said it would be the chair and the vice chair that would kind of own these things. That way we're not giving it out to like 10 people. And we have
But
to, like,
Ashley
worry about
doesn't
changing.
have it?
Ashley has it too.
Okay.
Yes, Ashley has it too.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So yeah, so I think all that, this is all one big discussion. It's like, well, only a couple people own the access to even be able to log in and post. Should we be posting? I don't know if Ashley, as an administrator who has to answer the phone and be at her email, is she gonna be able to get content? So,
I
yeah.
No.
think we're okay posting, but I think we have to have rules then if we are taking comments down or removing them, you need to come up
Mhm.
with rules and guidelines for that. So that should be a policy that trustees or we come up with for the trustees, because if you're like deleting comments or
Mhm.
playing referee, that's a free speech issue.
Sure.
Blah, blah, blah. You may want to have a policy around it.
But we have a right as a township, as the owner of that website, to edit that, but you could create a.
I think it would
fire.
really.
Well,
But if we
It
have a
depends on
policy,
outrageous.
but if we have a policy. we
Written
might
one.
have to.
Oh, we're just following policy. Yeah,
Right.
totally.
Yes.
Like the Heritage Group, we have one person to the website, I'm her backup, but I only look at the emails and if I think it's wrong, what? Or we see things coming in,
Yeah.
we post it out to the next person who should be taking care of it, like,
Mhm.
let's say Joni, or if it's
I
Amber.
like that idea, a backup as
So-
well, instead of like having to like nickel and dime, like who's doing this, who's doing
No,
that.
I don't.
No, and I let her know that I answered, or if I'm doing, forwarding it, so.
Do we have social media policies or any of that? Should that be a goal of ours?
Is to write social
To
media
write these
policies.
Yeah, I
policies
think we
and
should
Get them
do it.
approved.
I mean, that might be part of what he's asking me with the,
I would
Park.
strongly suggest we find another township
Yeah.
whose
Yeah.
website we find
Uh-huh.
and
right, and see
Right.
what they're doing.
copy vigorously
Yeah.
and add as we think needed, but yeah, we don't need to dream it up.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to invent the wheel, we just need to have,
No, or
make
we-
it, make it our
I
own.
think we have to have these, if they're giving us more responsibility and we're putting together kind of objectives,
Mhm.
it should be like almost coming up with these policies then that
Mhm.
they will adopt.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we would go in front of the trustees and have them
They will
adopt
adopt
them.
it, yeah.
yes.
And what we're doing is just promoting it to the trustees so they can say, okay, they can make changes. Or if they don't want to decide what gets,
Yeah, maybe they
Passed
don't,
on.
yeah, maybe they don't want to decide right then and there either, but that we're showing it to them and then they might.
here's
come
what the
back for a
bylaws we're
vote.
looking at,
Yeah.
what we're putting in.
Make it, make the draft, have them look at it and send the
Yeah.
feedback. before
Yeah,
we
that's
actually present
great.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's how things hopefully will turn into too, is the trustees will look at things and not, like ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have a couple readings of it or whatever, and then you can approve it.
So not to jump around too much,
okay.
but that actually rolls us right into the next question, which is just like, what is our processes for like approvals? And if what I think probably is important is that, and can go for all committees, is that nobody should just, unless it's like an emergency, I guess, nobody should be able to just like email us and be like, can you please do this thing right now? Because we're not an employee, we're a volunteer. So I don't know if I want it to be as prohibitive as you have to come in front of this committee once a month and ask us everything right then and there. That seems a little prohibitive. But is that how other committees work? Like if John's saying, can we try to make this as simple across all committees? What are the other committees like? If people want something from you, they have to come in front of you during that meeting time or what?
other committees they've had or haven't had, I don't know. I mean, you was on the other
Well,
committee before,
yeah.
but like the PCA, our job is written in state.
But that's
constitution, in
quasi-judicial.
state law.
Yeah.
I mean,
So it's
that's
not like,
yeah.
it's not like you don't,
no.
I don't know why you wouldn't accept emails or whatever that we discussed.
Oh, I think we do as our committee, and if someone sends something, I will send that and give it to our, when we meet.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I think it's necessary, I'll pass it off and say, anybody think anything about this?
Yeah, okay,
So-
just like sharing it from there.
Right, and get their feedback and then,
Or
respond
like
back.
in the idea of like with the park saying, it's like, yeah, we'll put it in the newsletter. That's easy.
Yeah.
That's an easy answer. But you're right. I don't know if it's as formal as somebody requesting permission at one of our meetings.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but again, it's not like it's a formalized committee, but it's not like a board. or
Yeah.
anything.
We're not a
right.
board, we don't make decisions.
So people can send us emails for requests, but it has to be like within our scope.
Yes. So maybe we start doing more education on what we do.
Sure. Like, hey, we can put out this isn't like a literal example, but like, hey, I need a mailer. The Parks Committee has a budget. We want to do a mailer. We're not like designing a mailer for you. Like, we are happily put it in the email, put it in the newsletter, but it's within our scope.
Because if somebody requests to put something out in an email blast, just educate, like if you're doing something for the heritage or whatever,
Mhm.
I think that's like a reasonable thing within our scope
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah.
So maybe you can put township communication, like the scope would be like township communication through the website.
Anything really that's like going out.
Yeah.
Yeah, email or
Informational.
social media.
Informational, yeah.
Yeah. Informational, social media, sometimes website. Like I could see us writing up because at the website at the bottom it's like news.
Mhm.
Maybe we could like write up the news item and be like, Ashley, this thing is happening.
Yes.
You want to make sure the township is aware of it. Can you please post it to the website? Kind of thing.
Mhm.
Okay. Sometimes news items, the newsletter, which kind of goes into then how we work with outside partners. People like Cryle, several trustee meetings ago now, they were talking about, should we like hire a communication firm so that way we can like really intentionally roll out a lot of these nice new things, like the new brand, and if they're going to have huge things that they want to talk about, like home rule. That all sounds great, but I feel like the township communication comes from us. So if they want to write the emails, it comes through our
There it
email
is.
system.
Yeah, yeah.
Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Mhm.
But we're not like in charge of like designing the whole strategic plan. We can put it in the newsletter, we can put it in the emails, but they're in charge of like what they create.
The
what they design.
content.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. There
But
the
that's up
content.
to you if again, being a volunteer thing, if they want us to do like, public, no, what you're saying is right. Let me have you finish your thought.
Oh, yeah, you're fine.
Oh, I wouldn't be able to do that.
Oh, good.
They're not expecting you to like market and roll it out.
No.
And they're doing that.
Yeah.
Okay.
If there's gonna be some sort of firm like Crowd Communications, if the task is, well, can you make sure the whole township knows about our new brand? We
Right.
say, sure, within the
I would
confines
have
of social
thought that was
media.
in their
news,
work.
I don't know.
Their work order.
Perfect.
Yeah,
So I would say to John, John, the.
Well, it's not an issue yet.
Yeah.
Trial, we're assuming to close out their engagement, part of this besides the style guide type of things is to put together the communication plan that they suggest for launch, what's the launch plan?
right.
And they put that together and then in coordination with the communications committee,
Mhm.
we then plan how to get it, where the placements are going to be.
Yeah, we work in coordination, but they do like the planning.
But they
and
do the
stuff,
content,
and the content.
right?
And we can distribute, but they do the planning and the content.
But we don't want the groups independent of the communications committee going out doing things on their own,
Certainly not.
right?
Yeah.
So communications that is township related needs to be coordinated through the committee.
And you're kind of an advisory, I would say too, just like you've been doing
Right.
with this company.
Yes.
You've been an advisor.
Okay, I like that. So communications that's township related is coordinated through this committee and distributed through this committee. And then
Not
otherwise,
necessarily content creation.
yes.
Right. Yeah, so your other example's a good one. If the township's gonna go for home rule and that will take a very targeted campaign communication
Yes.
effort
Yes.
that they need to hire somebody who's experienced at doing that.
Yes.
But again, they don't launch and push it into the community without coordination with the committee.
Yes. Then it has to kind of go through us.
Mhm.
Yes. Excellent. Okay. Let's see, looking back. Okay, members, scope of work, approval cadence, or there's like approval process rather. You don't have to come in front of us, like ask permission and stuff like that. How we work with outside partners, the concept of a budget. It sounds like we really feel like, why do we need our own budget? It's kind of our
Unless they
thought.
want to pay us, I'll take some
Yeah.
cash.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Why give us a budget at all unless they want to pay us?
Interesting topic, because as of the last trustees meeting, as they have formed, more formally formed a couple of these committees, like the Parks Committee, and it's gonna then fall under the new, whenever they hire a, administrator,
Uh-huh.
not, I don't know, a man, what do they call them, that job? Anyhow,
Township administrator.
they're gonna start paying those committee members stipends,
Okay.
monthly stipends.
Well, then we should.
So the question is, do people on this committee think that,
Mhm.
you know, A, we want that or are deserving of it or whatever? But if that is part of establishing the bylaws as the quasi official status as a committee overseen by the trustees, then, you know, we should go to them either with our suggestion whether that is true for us too, or don't worry about it.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
mean, but
I would say if you have to start editing the website and doing like major content, I don't know if we really need a stipend per se, but
For the work
That's
that
up
we're
to you.
currently doing.
yeah, I mean, writing the articles and doing all that, I don't.
Yeah, it's like the question is, do the trustees perhaps to just lay out like what this entails monthly for everybody, and that if the trustees feel like it is in line with the way that the
Right.
other committees work, where the amount of work that they're doing monthly. Because I also do want to point out that I think that what we're doing every month is something that an employee would eventually do.
Right.
So I don't want to
Right.
discount that.
Well,
like,
and I think
yeah.
that change is
I just don't like
coming
doing it. I wouldn't.
Certainly.
And-
Yeah,
as the management of the township is gonna mature here
Mm.
with the the hiring of this person. You know, that's gonna change other stuff.
Mhm,
And so I wouldn't really worry too much going down that road. But there are a number of people on other committees, like on the BZA, that can be a paid position. But a bunch of us have already said we don't want it. Just-
Okay.
It's just, you know, just,
The $400 a year is a pain in the butt.
it's a pain. Well, it's a mess tax wise.
Yeah.
You just,
Oh.
you don't need it.
I thought it
Sure.
was like 25, $30 or something, or
Uh-huh.
is it?
Well, times 12 meetings,
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
So you, at least you might get that question.
Yeah. Okay.
As to, you know, if the Parks Committee is gonna start to become a paid role
Right.
membership.
I have a feeling it's gonna turn into a department when the new person comes in. If they do want to expand the parks, like parks and cemeteries will probably be a department. It's a gut.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm writing that down as a question.
Yeah.
Because if the trustees are like, we just want to have everybody the same.
Yeah,
Then I'm like,
then
okay,
what would
well
that
then
mean?
what does that mean?
Yeah.
But as a volunteer, we can choose not to.
Sure. Exactly. So then let's talk about chair and vice chair. I like the idea of a backup instead of having to like split hairs of like whose responsibility is what. Steve, you requested interest in that.
Well, you know, and I've thought.
I don't want.
I thought about it some. I want to make sure that the committee has the right standing in the eyes of the trustees.
Mhm.
I'm trying to say this delicately, and don't laugh. And the flip side is when you say, well, okay, and looking at writing content and so forth, that's about when I said, oh, okay, well, that's probably not me. So my interest is providing you backup
Okay.
in clear communications of intent and working with across the trustee range so that they, remain fully aware of what's going on.
Okay.
And kind of giving you, or in the event you can't attend a meeting, but we need to hold a meeting,
Sure.
we can convene a meeting. That's a piece of cake, I mean,
Mhm.
to do that. But so I don't have I want to do it if it's helpful to you.
Okay.
Let me put it that way right now.
I think I like the idea of a backup, especially for things like if for some reason that month I cannot come to one of these meetings, to have somebody like run the meeting and have an agenda for the meeting and make sure it's recorded, and like that would all be very, very helpful. Just to make sure that somebody is volunteering for that, like for sure. I like what you're saying about just, like being somebody else that can communicate with the trustees. That all sounds fine to me. What does everybody else think?
Or does somebody else want to do it?
Yeah, or
I
somebody
think
else
we
who's
should
really
have
known
somebody
for
in
it.
the role officially.
Yes.
So that somebody else has standing to help you.
Agree with you, and be also standing with the trustees.
That's
Like,
what-
yeah.
As like
And I agree
another
with that part,
another
'cause
avenue
I
of
thought
communication.
I'm not a communication person. I'm more of a numbers person.
I do think what we have going on here is excellent in terms of like, all right, let's divvy this up. Let's go get this. Let's go get that. It's like working
it's a
out.
really good
wonderfully.
team.
It's a great team.
Yeah.
It's awesome. But I think that what you're describing might be the key element that's missing.
So if that's helpful to you,
Sure.
I would be happy to pitch in for a while to do that.
All right.
And also help navigate this new role that's coming in from the so
Yeah. Okay.
that's why I said what I said before.
Okay.
You're doing a phenomenal job.
Well, thanks.
Very organized and it really.
Oh, thank you.
You make this easy with your organizational skill.
You
So
guys are a piece of cake. That's great. Well, thank you. I love that idea. If we're all in agreement, I think that's a great idea. I like it a lot. Okay. Then,
is Adam currently our sponsor?
yes, Adam's our sponsor.
So-
He did mention that he was gonna join Zoom, so something must have gotten his way tonight. Is that, maybe his camera just wasn't on.
Hey, I've been here the whole time.
Oh my God, he's
Oh,
amazing.
look at you slurping in the background there.
Yes,
Well,
Adam.
you didn't do the virtual roll call today, so I've just been kind of hanging out in the background.
Oh, that's right, because we started with the brand thing and I forgot to do the virtual roll call. I'm gonna write it down for our minutes. Do we have Adam on Zoom, and who else do we have on Zoom?
Bob was.
Bob's on Zoom. I'm writing this down.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Bob, yes, so Adam is our trustee, like liaison. They had at that one trustee meeting, they like split up who's doing
Yeah.
what. So I like that idea. I like all this.
So Adam, given that you're out there, I guess, if you and I need to talk, I would be happy to do that. But then I guess at some point, you guys need to, at a trustees meeting, officially recognize the vice chair role.
Yes, I'd agree with that. And I think that was one of the things that we had talked about, just because we're trying to bring the same, I guess, uniform legitimacy to all the different committees. And I think it was brought up in discussion a little while ago. It's that, some of these committees are essentially doing township functions in the absence of a township employee, right? And so,
Yep.
Parks is a great example of that. And I think that's why we've made some realignment there where Jason essentially presides over the Parks Committee because Parks are a part of the township and he manages the facilities. So, just kind of that alignment vertically made sense. And, here, and what Lindsay and I talked about, I guess last week it was when we connected is, at some point the township will justify the need for a communications director or something along those lines. And I think that would be an exact same situation. That person would chair this committee and the committee's input would be valuable in all the decisions that get made. To that point, I think the question of voting capacity came up. The committee's requirement to make votes is basically how the decisions are made. But to the next point, what are you going to need to decide?
Right.
Is all of the outbound communication going to be within your budget, or is each individual department going to be responsible financially for their own outbound communication? And I think you guys are asking the right questions. Is how is that going to be financially allocated? I think that probably drives the question. That transitions into where's what is the communications committee's scope of work. And I think as we had identified it, communications committee handles the outbound communication. And I kind of will use your example there of, well, what are we doing if we get some off-color comments on Facebook, things like that. Facebook has a lot of policies that would guide some of those decisions. I don't know that we necessarily need to create some of our own, but somebody does have to watch it, right? Somebody does have to flag it. Somebody does have to manage it. And I do think that is probably the responsibility of township employees that have access to Meta Business, can monitor that, can get those notifications. Because now, I think you guys all know this. I'm talking to a group of marketing professionals here. Any person on Facebook can flag a comment as inappropriate.
Right.
Right.
So there's going to be a lot of watchdogs out there that are kind of sending this information in. I don't think anybody needs the responsibility of monitoring Facebook comments and messages, things like that. But if a citizen in or out of Harlem Township sends an email into or a message into Harlem Township's social media presence, that's inbound communication, in my opinion, not a responsibility of the communications committee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, these are just my opinions. I want, I think you guys
I
have the
agree.
autonomy here
All
to
our heads
determine your own
here,
future.
Yeah, we're agreeing with you.
We're with you.
And the only other thing I was going to mention is the topic of pay. I think the board does have the intention to bring uniformity to compensation of committees as well. So that will fall in step with what the other committees are doing.
Well, that just saved us a lot of time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was just waiting on you to call on me. I guess my fault for you
We don't
thinking you
see
knew
you.
I was
I
here.
know. I feel bad because we don't see you at all, so had no clue that you were there.
I apologize. Should have raised my hand and told you I was here, but I was
You're
very
right. I
very
did.
entertained listening to you guys work all this stuff out. You're doing a great job.
Oh, great. Thank you. Yeah, usually I do a virtual roll call, but we dove right into the thing and then I just left my mind.
Oh, and also along those lines, how terrible of a position are we in to choose from two really fantastic products? That was my first time seeing those, and I thought Crowd did a really great job of bringing that in. I'm not going to, express an opinion that differs from the general consensus of the group. I will say that the horseshoe logo would make an easier tattoo on somebody's bicep. But other than that, that was really awesome to hear and see that.
You can put that on your Harley saddlebag.
Nice.
That's right.
Got one.
That's awesome.
Oh, they did a nice job.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Does anybody have anything else to add to our bylaws discussion? I think we have covered everything before we move on to kind of our items that we handle. Anything else? Okay. So thank you all. That was awesome. That was a great discussion. So as I had mentioned before, I was going to bring it up to the group of if we need to try to get township newsletter in April, or if it would be more of a May thing. So let's just think of the year at large. It's either going to be in April, then a July, then about in October, and then that ends our year because we typically go to January. We try to avoid December. Or it's going to be more of like a May and then an August and then a November. In terms of, if you think we have a winter, spring, summer, and fall is what we typically, but the winter usually goes to January.
Right.
It does sound like the Parks Committee has something very timely they're trying to get out. So I did not know that before this meeting. I had this grand idea that I was going to save us some time, but then they have some like important stuff that's like timely. So
Did they say it's gonna be, when would we need stuff in? Or what was the April deadline? That
You said deadline like April 6th or something, didn't you?
are you talking about for the newsletter?
For the newsletter,
Yes,
yeah.
so that's a great question. So in terms of timing and how this all works, content will be received by April 6th so that we knew how many pages we had. Lisa Hersey would print the check on the 10th, and then the printer would get that check, and then they would start their printing and mailing. And so Lisa makes the check on the 10th. The trustee meeting is on that Wednesday. So now we're several meetings later. Then the printer gets the check and starts printing it. So that's why I figured it was like an end of April thing anyways.
So
So, go ahead.
I was just wondering, I can't remember the date where he said they would have all the information.
I thought he said
something-
April 13th, 14th, he said he would have.
So I don't know if we'd make that deadline anyway. We may push it to May.
Yeah, maybe we don't have to, maybe it doesn't have to be drastic. Maybe it's like a
Oh,
first week
could-
of May.
Well,
What were you guys saying?
so we're doing this every 3 months.
Yeah, quarterly, yes.
Yes, so right now we're currently targeted April and then July,
Uh-huh,
right?
yes.
My opinion is July is kind of a dead zone month. I mean, from a.
It's the hottest,
with-
worst.
Well, and people traveling and vacations and all the rest. So if you think about, well, then, all right, well, is August any better? Let's see, so if you went May, August, and then.
About
and then
November, yeah.
November.
But the only thing in my mind about doing that, because December's, well,
Yeah, I feel
is
like
if we
December-
were gonna do something, and Adam, and I guess, and Bob, I'm talking to you guys again here a little bit, is if we were going to try to do something around home rule in this election cycle
Okay.
this fall, I mean, you're gonna need to have a separate, and I know John's already thinking this, a separate campaign of communication, but also it needs to be augmented by, what we do. So if you're trying to do educational kind of features around that to build momentum, because the only reason I wouldn't push the date is if we were trying to hit 2 issues out ahead of election day
Yeah, yeah.
for touches with the pot, because the newsletter is a broader circulation than just the email.
Yeah.
The non-quarterly one. Well, they're all, so I think that was a question.
Yeah. Yeah, what's coming down the pipe?
Yeah, Adam or Bob. the-
My gut reaction is it's too soon to tell. I mean, I know it's not a great answer, but that's the first one that comes to mind at this point. I think, I don't want to speak for the board, but I would definitely love to see home rule make it to the ballot this year. But I think you guys are keenly aware of how much communication there would have to be to even give us a shot at that. But in addition, the board has a significant amount of diligence yet to do to make sure that that is the right decision for Harlem at this moment. And so I don't know that I feel comfortable giving an absolute answer at this moment.
I mean, we're in mid-March, so it seems unlikely. So that it would say to me, if we pushed out of April into May and did a May, August,
May, August, yeah.
right? That would still, and if you're trying to get something still on home rule, well, you still got the August touch,
Sure.
right?
And whatever
And
communication
whatever
goes into
other things you want to do, blast wise.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So,
So
I don't have a problem, change, whatever you decide. What we do need to do is we've already set the date and we'd have to, but it's not really out there very much for April 22nd for the trustee meet and greet. So
yeah, And that
We haven't
date
blasted
doesn't-
it or anything, so
Yeah.
we
I
could
think,
change
I
that.
think I think the newsletter would come out after that 22nd date, regardless if it was like by the end of April or sometime like mid-May. So thank you for bringing that up, because that's in our email blast items here.
Yeah.
So let's just start picking content. That might help us decide.
Yeah, I think if the park stuff will be ready, if that's one of the main things you want to highlight.
Yeah.
then you'll probably want to wait.
I think so too.
'Cause
So-
it's just a few weeks and
It's just a few weeks, and our April meeting will be on April 14th, which will be right around the time that the Parks Committee will have. So I'm thinking of us dividing up and getting content.
But I would also say go back to the Parks Committee, that's why I asked them the question about, is this just information kind of playing back what the survey input was? Or are you gonna be able to do some analysis of what that input is? And maybe put out 4 or 5 food for thought ideas that this leads us to. That's certainly more interesting to our consumers
That's a great
than
point, Steve.
just, here's the survey, Survey
Results.
Monkey results.
Taste
Oh,
results in.
What do we
That's a
do
great
with,
point.
what do we do with that? Okay, I mean,
Yeah.
it's important to show people we're reading it and paying attention to it.
Yeah.
That's why people participate in surveys.
Right.
But I think it's a little coming up short not to do some kind of analysis and some critical thinking about what does this tell us? As at least, summarize the top 5 priorities and what could that mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that's the new plan, but pull something.
whatever content they want to disseminate to, like how they want to disseminate it.
Sure. And so if they're not gonna get this back till mid-April. Cause I'm also picturing like it would take a lot of room in this to have like clear imagery and stuff like that. I guess I'm not feeling like we have to rush this.
Okay.
And it could be more of a May newsletter for spring.
Let's see, I was going to add to that. I was going to do an analysis on last year, what we spent at
Uh-huh.
Heritage Group. The hours and the money and what we
Mhm.
expend, because Joni's asked for that already.
Okay.
To post that for the dinners, but this good would go out to everybody to see.
Yeah,
We
you
need.
did it last
fall
year. It
out,
was
yeah.
good, yeah.
So we want to do it again this year. So
Okay.
I don't know how soon, because she's gonna be gone and then I'm gonna be gone.
Okay.
And I'm trying to get it in between
Do
time.
you
I'm
think May
gone.
would be okay? for
I
you?
think maybe, yeah, because I probably can get it to Joni by the end of the month.
Mhm.
And then when I'm gone in April, she can get it together and I can tell her to pass it off to you.
Okay.
So that'd be something that would be in the newsletter.
Okay. So I think the only reason why we're discussing this is because do we need to continue to talk about this tonight and
Okay.
figure out what every section, yeah, or do we want to push this to our April meeting? That's the only reason why we're talking about it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Then lastly, we have our monthly email blast on March 24th, and then our social media items from that we do regularly here. So I got a hold of Ashley earlier today. We only have about 100 people on the sign up list. It's not growing very fast with every post that we do for the recycling for Rumpke.
Really?
Yeah, with even the last reminder, it grew nominally.
Oh, because I signed up yesterday, but
Yeah.
they act like it was going good.
Yeah. So,
Need like 100 more or something?
like 100 more.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you only got a couple weeks because they wanted it by April 1st.
So I feel like we should put a reminder in there as like a last effort, like
Yeah,
last
make it bold.
notice, but we should put something out like this week
Mhm.
as just a
Correct.
final reminder,
Yes.
something out standalone.
Yes.
Okay.
And was it HTH or Civic that just put out their email blast to their population
Really?
about it?
Oh, they did? That's great. Okay.
I don't remember which one, but one of the two sent out a blast under Kopech's name.
Okay. The parks survey that they just talked about should go under here. Park survey. Dave mentioned something about America 250.
Right.
Okay. What else do we have going on that we need to alert people of in the month of March?
The other thing is, he mentioned about, remember I talking about the mailbox?
Uh-huh.
You know, because trying to move it from
Yeah,
one
you
side
can
to the
move
other.
your mailbox, yeah.
Right. Well, when I found out, the person who told me that she got paper, when I went to the post office,
Uh-huh.
there's two things that has to happen. One, you have to talk to your mail person
Mhm.
and also the postmaster. And I requested, and it's been a month and I haven't heard back from them.
Okay.
But, you know, it depends on those two with the circumstances. I
Uh-huh.
think really is
They-
what the,
They give you permission to move
Right.
your mailbox?
right.
I'd like to have them like gotten back to you.
I know, I was gonna try
Yeah.
to call again and see that, see.
I don't know what happened. Who initiated what, because when that gentleman got killed out there in 605, crossing the road to get his mail. Then after that, shortly, the mailboxes got on both sides,
Mm,
Oh, really? Went on both sides or just, well,
but that's on a state route, that's a little bit,
that's
little bit
different.
different too.
But again, on a still township road, it's,
I know,
and especially if you got the elderly or older people.
mhm.
And I'm just gonna say, from my example, mine gets thrown in the ditch, and I can't get down in the ditch when
Mm.
there's,
That's not good.
10 inches of
Also-
snow, but
notice that people that are disabled, but they sometimes drive back the driveway and put the mail back by the house too.
well, that's again, you have to ask the postmaster, no,
Again, they say you
postmaster,
gotta get
but the
permission.
email guy. But again, you have to ask for that, so.
I don't know, mine's always been on my side, but
You're fine with it. Mine's not, and
Mine
then
too.
I never had issues.
I get tired of the mailboxes every time I have to replace them every couple of years, so. It seems that way.
Yeah, let us know if they get back to you.
I
before
will.
we
I just
get
want,
people in touch
that's
with
what
you.
I found so
That's
far,
great.
but
That's great. Thank you. Okay, it sounds like that's kind of the caught up. Like we've got Rumpke, we've got the park survey. That's everything that's happening right now. So then in terms of social media, same things, Rumpke reminder, park survey reminder, and then I used your last did you know today? So perhaps we could do a March one?
Sure.
Okay.
I love those.
noodle dinner is March March
Excellent.
27th,
Excellent.
so.
Monday new did you know? And then new chicken noodle dinner, March
27th.
27th.
Mhm.
Perfect.
And for April, since I won't be here, it'll be May 1st.
Okay. And May 1st?
Mm-hmm.
Great. 1, 2, that's plenty. That's everything. That's once a week.
Yeah, I just didn't know how to.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, I guess last but not least, we talked last meeting about adding the Delaware Foundation information to the website. Hadn't done that yet because I knew we were going to talk about like what our scope and stuff is. Does anyone want to volunteer to write that up? So Ashley can add it to the website.
I can do it.
You want to do it?
What is it called again?
It's the Delaware County Foundation information that was like published in the newsletter
Letter.
and stuff like that.
Right.
We want to let people know that like on a web page that like you can donate to the park and or you can donate to the general fund.
Okay.
The newsletter.
Do I have a newsletter?
Yeah.
Of course, I saved them all.
Oh, good.
That's
Look
great.
at the last page.
Louis makes me autograph them.
That's nice. That was a really good interview last time.
Oh, good. I'm glad
Yes.
you liked it.
Okay, so we have 2 standalone emails I'm realizing. We have a trustee meet and greet standalone email and a Rumpke reminder standalone email. They both kind of are pertinent right now. I don't want to do the trustee meet and greet like too early. It's on the 22nd. So what's the date? So I'm thinking maybe this week is Rumpke reminder and then next week is meet and greet because it's like a whole month out. Like a reminder about that. Okay.
I'm fine with it.
This week and then next week. Okay.
So you need that this week.
Um,
Everything.
The Delaware County Foundation, I do not have a timeline on that. It was just something that we had talked about as a group
Okay.
that it's not on the website and it's something that the trustees have promoted many times, so we should make sure that. it's on
Roger
the
that.
website.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I'll
no
work on it this
timeline.
weekend if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No timeline at all, because then it's just also gonna be up to if when Ashley has time to do it as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's great. All right. I don't think it is. I think that's everything. I just want to double check my work here. The Delaware County Foundation, yeah, that's what I thought. So Darlene, we talked about it being on the website on a where'd it go? Community tab and under here, we would put it under here. And so it would be a page that had information on it, but we also said nobody will know that's there
Mhm.
unless we add it as a news item.
Yes.
So it's kind of twofold.
So do
I
you
don't
want me
think
to
the
do like
information
a
has to
news
be.
item and a site?
Yeah, I don't think they will necessarily be very different, but
No, just like make it short, so it's
Yeah,
like a tagline or
exactly.
something. Yeah, okay.
yes. Awesome. Guys, that was our longest meeting that we've ever had because we had a lot going on.
Very productive as usual, Lindsay.
Yes, very productive. Thank
Maybe
you all
to
for
run my meeting.
Lindsay. I love a meeting. I love a meeting agenda.
I love agendas.
You're not having a long meeting until you guys are still sitting there at 10 p.m.
That's
Just so you
right.
know.
I mean, yeah, sorry for complaining. We don't even know the half of it, do we?
My beard.
Maybe one day.
So I say I would like to place a motion to adjourn.
I second.
Great. Do we say aye?
Aye.
Good job, everybody.
Aye.
Well done, everybody. That was awesome. Look at our committee go.
My feet could not touch the floor, whoever sits here.
That's all.
But yeah. I was like, oh.
Thank you all for joining us on Zoom.
All right. See you.
Thank you for having us.
Good night, Bob. Good night.
Have a good night.
Adam.
Yeah.
Night.
All right, well, I'll let you do that.
Oh,
I'll
sure.
turn the TVs.
Thank you.